Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Chang, and I'm the Liberal candidate here in Markham Unionville. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I have called Markham Unionville and York Region my home for over 30 years now. Today, my 3 kids and my 6 grandchildren also call it home. I cherish the diversity and inclusive spirit that makes this region so special. Yet, as a 28-year veteran of the York Regional Police, I have also seen the firsthand carnage, the damage that gun violence can do to our community here. That is why I'm running for a party that took decisive action and banned the use, sale, and importation of more than 1,500 types of assault-style firearms. Unfortunately, Erin O'Toole would rather kowtow to the gun lobby and repeal our ban that keeps our family safe. As a former police officer, I know that when it comes to the lives of our friends and family, we cannot afford to go backwards. We need a strong leader who will keep moving forward to keep our community safe and secure. It is my pleasure to introduce the only federal leader who has stood firm on strengthening gun control, on reducing crime, and protecting our families. The leader of the Liberal Party of Canada, Mr. Justin Trudeau.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. Before I begin, I want to recognize that today, the families of Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, along with their friends and supporters, are marching to mark the 1,000th day of their arbitrary detention in China. The thoughts of all Canadians are with them and their families during this incredibly difficult time. The international community has stood in solidarity with Canada on securing their release since the beginning. I want to thank our allies for their ongoing support. We will not rest until they are freed and safely home. I spoke with their families, and I assured them that we will not let up. And I assured them that all Canadians are standing firm with them. We will not back down. Aujourd'hui, on est tous ici pour passer un message clair. Erin O'Toole veut rendre les armes d'assaut légales à nouveau parce qu'il est dans la poche du lobby des armes à feu. Ce qu'on veut lui dire haut et fort, c'est qu'on ne va pas le laisser faire. I want to start off this morning by passing it over to Bill Blair, because if anyone knows why it matters to take action on gun violence, it's him. Bill, you've devoted your career to keeping Canadians safe, not just as Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness for the past 2 years, but also as Chief of Police of our biggest city. I am so glad to have you on the team. Over to you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, and I'm very honored to join you all here today. As the Prime Minister indicated, I've spent most of my adult life, the past 45 years, trying to keep the people first of my city and now the country safe. And one of the greatest challenges that we face in this country is the proliferation of gun violence. And we've seen what guns can do in communities, and particularly for vulnerable people right around the world, as we see mass shootings taking place almost on a daily basis in the United States. And Canada has not been immune to that violence. We've seen the massacre of women students at École Polytechnique, worshippers at the Quebec Mosque, innocent Nova Scotians, just last year near Portapique. We've seen the murder of police officers. We've seen people being targeted because of their gender, because of their faith. And we've seen the carnage that can occur when weapons that were not designed for sport purposes, the purposes that are only the legal purposes in Canada, which is hunting and sport shooting, but were designed to kill people. They're military weapons. They're designed for combat. They're designed for their efficiency in killing as many people as quickly as possible. And that's why they're the first choice of people who are bent on mass murder in Canada and around the world. Now, I'm very proud to stand with a Prime Minister who understands that dealing with public safety and crime is more than just tough talk. I stand with a Prime Minister and I'm part of a government that understands that there are some very significant things that a government, every order of government, has a responsibility to do. To ensure, first of all, that we have strong gun control. Canadians expect that in Canada. That we, although we recognize and respect hunters and farmers and sport shooters who use their firearms responsibly, store them safely, and are not a threat to our public safety. But we are also a government that recognizes that there are some guns just simply so deadly that they have no place in our society. I also work for a Prime Minister who understands that the important work that the police do is important. And I remember for almost 10 years as the Chief of Police in Toronto, as the Harper government, with Mr. O'Toole at his side, cut literally hundreds of millions of dollars from the RCMP and from our border services, and also completely ignored the constant pleas from the police for resources and for the banning of assault weapons in this country. And I was very proud on May 1st, stand with the Prime Minister as we announced the prohibition of over 1,500 assault-style weapons in this country. And before we get into the gun lobby's semantics about what actually is an assault rifle, we're not talking about some fully automatic weapons that were banned 44 years ago. No one's talking about those guns. Those are not the guns that the law enforcement has urged the Government of Canada to prohibit, the chiefs of police of this country. Those are not the guns that victims groups at École Polytechnique, in Nova Scotia, at Dawson College, in Toronto, in Moncton, in Fredericton, in Alberta, in every place where these weapons have been used to kill innocent people. We're talking about certain guns. And last May 1st, in 2020, we took the important action by order in council of banning 1,500 of these firearms. And to avoid the gun lobby's efforts to obfuscate and deceive people about the true nature of these guns, we named them. We named them by make and we named them by model. And so, we prohibited, for example, the Beretta CX-4 Storm, which was used to shoot 19 students and kill a young woman at Dawson College. We banned the AR-15, a weapon that was used in Las Vegas to kill nearly 50 people, that was also used at Sandy Hook Elementary. And many Canadians will recall the terrible tragedy that took place in Connecticut, where a man armed with an AR-15 rifle, legally acquired, went into that school and killed over 20 little kids and 6 teachers. Little kids. And the reason he took that gun is because it's the most efficient way to kill as many people as possible. And so we banned those guns. It was the right thing to do. One of the guns we also banned was the Mini Ruger 14. That was the weapon that was used at École Polytechnique to kill 14 Canadian women who were targeted only because they were women. That gun has no place in our society. None of these do. Now, Mr. O'Toole, in order to win the leadership of his party, had to make a deal. He had to go and seek the support of the gun lobby. The gun lobby, who we have seen with their perverse impact on politics in the United States, reached out to Mr. O'Toole. And he sought their support, and he got their support. He took their money and he took their support. And in exchange, he made a lot of promises to them. We know he made those promises because he bragged about it, and so did they. We know that he promised them that he would return these weapons back into circulation in our country. That weapon, the weapon used to kill women at École Polytechnique. He promised them that because they make literally billions of dollars each year in the manufacture and sale of those guns. And then on Thursday night, he also, I should mention, made it very clear in his platform of his intention to keep his promise to the gun lobby. Mr. O'Toole is not working for Canadians. He's not listening to law enforcement. And the chiefs of police in this country have repeatedly urged the government to ban these weapons, and when we ban them, they've made a statement voicing their support for that ban. He's not listening to the victims of gun violence. He's not listening to communities who care about their kids. He's listening to the gun lobby who profit from the sale of these weapons. And last Thursday night, when it was really just put right to him about what he was going to do, he lied. He attempted to deceive Canadians. He said that he was not going to reverse the assault rifle ban, but he wasn't talking about that gun, or the gun that have been used to kill innocent people in this country over the last 25 years. No, he was talking about something that happened 44 years ago. At least that's what he tried to pass off as the truth, but it wasn't the truth. And the next day when he doubled down on the same lie, it was actually interesting that the gun lobby, their spokesman came up and said, no, they wanted to reassure their people. Aaron's going to keep his promise to them. He's just trying to deceive Canadians now. And so, you're now asking the right questions. Mr. O'Toole and every Conservative candidate in this country has to answer the question. Will they support their leader, who's promised the gun lobby that he'll bring back that gun and the 1,500 weapons that were designed for mass murder in this country? Not hunting weapons, not sport shooting weapons, weapons for combat, weapons that were designed for soldiers to kill other soldiers, but tragically have been used by murderers to kill innocent Canadians. And so, we have made a commitment to Canadians that we will strengthen gun control in this country. We've brought forward significant new measures to improve lifetime background checks, better record keeping, to answer law enforcement's request to access to the data they need to keep illegal guns out of this country and out of the hands of criminals. We've invested $347 million in law enforcement. We gave that money to the provinces, into the RCMP, so that the police would have the resources they need to do the important gun and gang investigations that they need to do in our country. $65 million right here in Ontario to support the York Regional Police, the Toronto Police Service, the Peel Regional Police Service, every police service in Ontario. And when we provided that funding, Mr. O'Toole voted against it. So did all the Conservatives. And we also recognize it's not just about putting people in jail, but it's about keeping people out of jail. It's about making investments in communities that make a difference for our kids. It's about making sure that they understand the importance of making the right choices and that they can live in a society and a community that respects them and gives them every opportunity to be successful and to prosper and to be safe and to be good citizens. And so when we came forward and said, we're going to invest in the extraordinary community organizations that help those kids make the right choices. And in Budget 2021, we provided $250 million to those communities and those community organizations that are going to help kids, help their families, and help our communities be safe. And again, Mr. O'Toole voted against it. Mr. O'Toole says he's going to talk to law enforcement. Well, it'd be about time, because for over 10 years as the chief of police, we were ignored by the Conservatives, who curried favor with the gun lobby and ignored the real police leadership in this country. He says he's going to start listening to victims. About time. They've been crystal clear on what they want, which is stronger gun laws in this country and a government willing to stand up and back it up. And that's the government we offer to Canadians. And so I am very proud to stand with the Prime Minister, proud to stand with the Liberal government, and proud to represent the interest of Canadians. I've dedicated my life to keeping people safe, and this is the only government that has a real plan, an honest plan, to keep people safe. Mr. O'Toole has to be honest with Canadians. I know why he's being dishonest. I'm sure he must be embarrassed. Frankly, he should be ashamed that he has made promises to the gun lobby that are contrary to the interests of all Canadians. It's time to come clean. It's time to be honest. It's time for him to actually say what he's going to do about that gun and every one of the 1,500 guns that we prohibited, because they're used only to kill people. Thanks very much. I'd now like to turn it back to the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you as well to Paul Chang, for welcoming us here to Markham Unionville. Paul, as a dad and a grandfather, as a former police sergeant, I know you understand the importance of keeping our communities safe, so thank you for being here. Big shout out as well to all the Liberal candidates here today, part of our extraordinary team. across the GTA and across the country. As I've said, we're here to stand up for what we believe, that these guns have no place in our communities and have no place anywhere in Canada. Quand on dit que notre priorité, c'est de protéger les Canadiens, c'est vrai contre la COVID, mais c'est aussi vrai contre le fléau de la violence liée aux armes à feu. The weapons that Bill just talked about, that are in the photos here today, are weapons designed to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. And they have. In Moncton, in Portapique, at Polytechnique, and in horrific crimes across the country and around the world. And now, Erin O'Toole wants to make these weapons legal again. It's on page 90 of his platform, 96 en français. It's what he promised the gun lobby and the far-right elements of his party. And he's trying to blatantly mislead Canadians about it. Well, we're not going to let that happen. We can't let the Conservative Party take Canada back to the Stephen Harper days when these assault weapons were legal, because the price to pay is much too high. I know the bill mentioned some examples earlier, but it's important to be very clear about exactly what we banned and what Erin O'Toole would make legal again. The model that was used in the Moncton shooting, one that was carried by the gunman at the Quebec City Mosque. Two of them were used by the killer in Portapique. On a banni l'arme qui a été utilisée à Polytechnique. On a banni celle qui a été utilisée au collège Dawson. On a banni ces armes qui ont fait des torts irréparables dans nos communautés. Et on va prendre encore plus de mesures. We're going to make it mandatory that these guns are sold back to the government for destruction or else be rendered fully and permanently inoperable. You can't buy these guns, you can't sell these guns, you can't use these guns. And even if you own one today, no one gets a pass. Community safety is not up for negotiation with the gun lobby. And you certainly don't hand them the pen to write your platform. That was his choice. It'll never be ours. We're putting a minimum of $1 billion on the table as well for provinces or territories that want to work with us to ban handguns, to keep cities and communities safe. On va obliger les propriétaires de ces armes d'assaut à les revendre au gouvernement pour les détruire, ou alors elles devront être rendues inutilisables de manière permanente. On est aussi prêt à investir au moins $1 milliard pour appuyer les provinces et les territoires comme le Québec qui veulent interdire tout court les armes de poing. L'année passée, on a banni 1500 modèles d'armes d'assaut et Erin O'Toole veut les rendre légales à nouveau. Il veut aussi annuler les vérifications des antécédents sur toute une vie, faire passer les intérêts du lobby des armes avant ceux des Canadiens. J'appelle pas ça du leadership. Surtout quand il essaye de cacher la vérité aux Québécois et aux Canadiens. Surtout quand on sait qu'il y a une augmentation de la violence liée aux armes à feu dans nos plus grandes villes. Le vrai leadership, c'est de s'assurer que vous et votre famille soyez en sécurité. Real leadership is putting your safety and the safety of your family first. It's true on guns, and it's true on vaccines. Erin O'Toole, and yes, Yves-François Blanchet, too, say they respect the choice of anti-vaxxers. But what about your choice? Here in Ontario, you've made it clear that you want a proof of vaccination system to help keep you safe and get everyone back to better days faster. Well, I'm right there with you. We'll foot the bill for provinces and territories to roll out proof of vaccination programs, just like we'll make sure everyone on a plane or a train is vaccinated. We must end this pandemic once and for all. So if you haven't already, now is the time to get your shot. Do it to protect yourself and your loved ones. And do it so we can all avoid future lockdowns and keep our economy growing strong. On est le seul parti qui va se tenir debout pour s'assurer que tout le monde à bord d'un train ou d'un avion soit vacciné. Parce que c'est le temps d'en finir avec la pandémie une bonne fois pour toutes. C'est le temps de se retrousser les manches pour bâtir un pays encore plus fort. C'est le temps de choisir un vrai plan, ambitieux et réalisable pour l'avenir. We'll invest in stronger public health care, not experiment with privatization. We'll make owning a home more affordable. We'll keep fighting for $10 a day childcare, including here in Ontario, so that kids can get the best start, parents can juggle work and family, and our economy comes back strong. We'll keep taking real, ambitious climate action, and we'll never make secret deals with the gun lobby like Aaron O'Toole did. Together, we'll get through this pandemic and we'll rebuild the brighter future we all want to see. On a fait beaucoup de chemin ensemble et je sais qu'on peut aller encore plus loin. Mes amis, on est prêts à continuer d'avancer. The choice Canadians have to make in this election will take us through not just the next few years, but the next few decades. And they matter. I'm ready for the hard work. I'm ready for hope. I'm ready to move forward for everyone. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Trudeau. We'll now start a question period, 20 minutes. One question, one follow-up, en commençant avec Laurence Martin de la Radio-Canada.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Trudeau. Sur les armes d'assaut, vous dites que le rachat va devenir obligatoire. C'est exactement ce que des groupes comme Police se souvient vous demandent depuis des années. Quand vous aviez l'occasion de le faire dans les dernières années, vous ne l'avez pas fait. Pourquoi?
On continue d'écouter, de travailler avec les groupes qui démontrent à quel point c'est important de renforcer le contrôle des armes à feu. On a banni les armes d'assaut de style militaire au mois de mai passé et on continue de travailler pour s'assurer que cette interdiction d'acheter, de vendre ou d'utiliser ces armes soit la plus forte possible. C'est pour ça qu'on va ou bien forcer les gens de les revendre au gouvernement pour être détruits, ou bien, aux frais du gouvernement, on va rendre ces armes permanemment inutilisables. Et c'est exactement le contraire de ce que M. O'Toole va faire, parce que lui, il va renverser notre interdiction de ces armes d'assaut, mais il n'est pas en train de l'avouer aux Canadiens. On l'a vu jeudi soir, qu'il ne peut pas être direct avec les Canadiens. Il est en train de se cacher derrière le lobby des armes à feu. Ce n'est pas ça le leadership que les Canadiens veulent.
En suivi?
Mais pourquoi est-ce que vous ne l'avez pas fait plus tôt si c'est si important pour vous?
On a élaboré un système où non seulement ces armes d'assaut, il y a une interdiction de les acheter, de les vendre ou de les utiliser. À partir du mois de mai passé, c'est fait. Et on travaille avec les communautés, on travaille avec les groupes qui défendent l'augmentation du contrôle des armes à feu pour justement assurer un programme de rachat qui soit adéquat. On va donner le choix aux gens. Ou bien ils revendent ces armes au gouvernement pour qu'on les détruise, ou bien on les rend permanemment inutilisables. C'est essentiel qu'il n'y ait plus personne qui puisse utiliser ces armes achetées de façon légale à servir à tuer le plus grand nombre de Canadiens en un plus court laps de temps. C'est pour ça que nous avions banni ces armes d'assaut et c'est pour ça que c'est complètement incompréhensible aux Canadiens que M. O'Toole veut rendre redisponible et légal et remettre en circulation ces 15 000 modèles d'armes d'assaut. We have made it impossible to buy or sell or use. We've made it illegal to buy, sell, or use these models of military-style assault weapons in Canada as of last May. We're putting forward a buyback program in which people will have the choice of either selling that gun back to the government to be destroyed or having the gun rendered permanently unusable. These are the choices that Canadians have. Except Mr. O'Toole has made a secret deal with the gun lobby to reverse that ban on these assault weapons. The military-style assault weapons that were used in places like Portapique and Moncton and l'École Polytechnique and in terrible killings around the world. Those guns have no place in Canada, but that's the choice Erin O'Toole is offering. To return to a time when these guns were legal in our country. That's not what Canadians want.
Next question.
Hi, just wondering about your $1 billion to the provinces and territories for the handgun regulation. I'm just wondering if any of them, because it was in the platform, if there has been any response or if any have indicated interest at this point.
We know that the province of Quebec, including a unanimous motion in the National Assembly of Quebec, has indicated that they want to be able to ban handguns entirely within their jurisdiction. And we've put forward $1 billion to help them and any other provinces do that. And obviously, if other provinces step up and we need to put more money for that, we will be there to be partners to ensure that those jurisdictions, as we have already said for cities and towns across the country, if they want to move forward on handgun bans, we will be there to support them and make it happen.
Yeah, and just follow up, if handguns are definitely more common than these other weapons that we're talking about right now, why make that kind of